I apologise, councillors. I do need to mention that we are recording of the meeting. It is live streamed. This part of the meeting, the extraordinary meeting, and when you do speak in the microphone, please, because councillors are required to use the microphone. The sound for live streaming is connected through this. So I just need to tell you all that. We give thanks for the contribution by our pioneers, early settlers, and for those who have fought in the various wars for the fabric of Tenterfield community we have today. May the words of our mouths and the meditation of our hearts be accepted in thy sight, O Lord. Amen. The acknowledgement of country, I would like to acknowledge traditional custodians of this land that we are meeting on today. I'd also like to pay respect to the elders both past and present of the Yuckabull, Kamilaroi and Bundjalung nations and extend that respect to other Aboriginal people present. Councillors, I did ask, we haven't got any apologies. Any disclosures or declarations of interest, councillors? No? Councillors, we move on to the start of our business to do with the election of the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor. Kerry, welcome. We have Kerry Swain here as the returning officer. And Kerry, I will hand over to you. I'm sorry, Councillor Verry.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to move a motion, or I suppose it's a procedural motion, that we wait 5 minutes for Councillor McNeish.
I have no problems with that, Councillor. Have you got a seconder? Yeah. Councillor Murray, all in favour? Against? Carried. So we'll give him 5.
Good morning, Donna.
Good morning, Harry.
Morning, Donna.
I'm good. I didn't see you sneak in there. You weren't late, were you?
If you want. Here he is.
Here he is.
Here he is. Okay, can I have a welcome, Councillor McNeish? Can I have a motion, please, to go back to our business, please? Councillor Tom Peters, seconded Councillor Bronwyn Petrie. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, we'll start again and move over to our returning officer, Kerry Swain. Once again, welcome, Kerry, and I'll hand over to you, Kerry.
Is that? Yeah. Oh, that sounds better. All right. Now we've received 2 nominations for mayor. So the first step is to determine the voting method. So I'm calling for a motion regarding the voting method. You've got the information in your reports there. There's 3 options: ordinary ballot, preferential ballot, or open voting.
I'm happy to move along those lines that we do ordinary ballot as a secret ballot. Number 1.
So Peter Petty's moving option A, ordinary ballot, be the method of voting for the mayoral election.
You have a seconder there.
And a seconder, please.
Yeah, Councillor Bronwyn Petrie.
Seconder Bronwyn Petrie. All those in favour?
Aye.
All those against? I declare the motion carried. The method of voting shall be ordinary ballot. So if you just bear with me for a minute, I'll prepare the ballot sheets.
Paul Delacan saw me this morning and said that we had some extra money because we got a higher financial assistance grant, but we're still in abeyance about 70k. Lehman Brothers, advice on that.
All right, now just resuming the vote. The sheets are being handed out. Please mark your choice with a cross in the box, just one cross against the name you're voting for, and please fold it in half twice, so it's into quarters, and so we can then count them. Thank you.
Just like this, and half again. And half again.
I've now counted the votes. Following the procedure for an ordinary ballot, there were two candidates and there was a person receiving the highest number of votes. That person is Peter Petty, so I declare him to be elected as Mayor. The vote was 6 votes to Peter Petty, 4 votes to Donald Forbes. Okay, so we'll move on to Deputy Mayor now. So again, we have 2 nominations. So can I ask for a motion on the voting method for the Deputy Mayor, please?
I'm happy to move the same way, Kerry, that we use the ordinary ballot.
So we have a motion that the ordinary ballot method be used. Can we have a seconder, please? Tom Peters. All those in favour?
Aye. Do you want to go again, Kerry?
All those in favour? All those against? That's just 2 against, isn't it? Yep. Motion carried. I declare that the method of voting for the Deputy Mayor shall be by ordinary ballot. So I'll now distribute the ballot sheets. Who the nominees were, and they are Bob Rogan and Greg Sawyer. Same way as before, please mark a cross against the name of the person you wish to vote for, just one cross, and then fold twice. Thank you. So I've counted the votes and we have a person with more votes than the other. So I declare Greg Sawyer to be to be the Deputy Mayor, 7 votes to 3. So congratulations, Peter and Greg, and thank you for the other fellows for nominating, and I wish you all the best for the next 12 months.
Okay, councillors. Kerry, thank you very much. I know you're a busy person, and for the professionalism you brought here this morning, and very much appreciated. So thank you, and I commend Greg Terry on the decision to ask you to come here. I thought it was very good. So thank you. Okay, councillors. We'll move on with the rest of the agenda in our extraordinary meeting. On page 11 in your hard copy, it's item GOV 72/18, council delegates on committees, external boards and associations. Can I have a move and a second, please, to deal with this recommendation? Councillor Brian Murray, I thank you, and seconded by Councillor Greg Sawyer, and I thank you. Councillors, I'll hand over to our CE, Terry Dodds, to present this report. Mr Dodds.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. It's pretty self-explanatory with the addition, of course, on the bottom of page 11 of the Tourism Advisory Committee with the Mayor plus one councillor, which is vacant. Should council decide to add or change delegates, that's their prerogative. We've spoken about the Tourism Committee in previous workshops, which is why it was put on there for council's consideration. If there's any other questions, I'd take them. Specific questions, I'd take them. Yeah. And the other thing is there's some vacant positions on the delegates for 2018 and 19 as well, which council's got to go through. So if there's nothing to, Councillor Veary.
I'd like to nominate that we have 2 councillors on the Tourism Advisory Committee.
Can I just, I apologise, councillor, if you indicated, I apologise you, because Greg did indicate before, I'm sorry. Councillor Sawyer.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move a motion that the existing people that have been on the committees for the last 12 months stay in those roles where they were elected by name, where they've been appointed by position, whether mayor or deputy mayor or whatever. They are filled by the mayor, deputy mayor, and the ones for vacancies, we just go through those and tick them off.
Motion's there, councillors. Councillor McNish. Seconded by Councillor McNish. All in favour? Against? Carried. Councillor Veary, I do apologise because I did indicate over here, but is that going to affect what you wanted to do? Okay, that's fine. Okay, so Councillor Sawyer, councillors, you've all agreed there. So if everyone's happy to stay where they are, and then we'll go through the ones with vacancies, yeah? Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong as I go through them. The first one's the Australia Day Awards. There is a vacancy there. I apologise. With the donations and assessment panel, and that consists of the Mayor, Councillor Michael Petrie, Councillor John McNish, and there's a vacant and a vacant reserve. So that's the Australia Day, the donation assessment panel to do with community grants and donations. Councillor Veary.
I'd like to nominate Bob Rogan for that one of those positions.
Yes. Councillor Rogan, you've been nominated. Do you accept the nomination? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Bob. The vacant reserve, do we want to go there with that one? We should, I think. Well, it's a reserve if someone can't attend that meeting. That's what it means. So we've got enough on the panel, Councillor Rogan. Yeah. So would someone like to nominate? Councillor Veary's nominated himself as the reserve. So you're on the bench. Yeah. Any other nominations? Thank you, Councillor Veary. We accept your nomination as the reserve. Okay, councillors, we move on to the Australia Day Awards Committee. Consists of the Mayor, Councillor Don Forbes, Councillor John McNish, Councillor Greg Sawyer, and a vacant reserve, I'm sorry. Can we have nominations for that? Councillor Veary.
Again, I'd like to nominate Bob again.
Councillor Rogan, you've been nominated. Do you accept the nomination? Yes. Thank you, councillor. Any other nominations? So Councillor Rogan will be as a vacant reserve. Thank you, Councillor Rogan. Councillors, once again, as we move down, we've got correct me if I'm wrong, the next one would be our Tourism Advisory Committee. Before we get to that one. Yeah.
I'm the alternate on the Disability Inclusion Access Advisory Committee, and because of the distance I've got to travel and there's not always a meeting, I'd like to nominate Bob to go on that one again.
Councillor Rogan.
Mr Mayor, I spoke to Gary about it.
Yes.
No issues with that. There's some agreements with
Yep.
type stuff.
Yep. Please use your microphone, councillor, please. Yes.
So I'm happy to do that if everyone's in agreement.
Okay, thanks for pointing that out, councillor, and so we'll move that up. And councillor, thanks for the time that you've spent on there, Councillor Veary, and obviously with the work Councillor Don Forbes does there. So Councillor Rogan, you've accepted that nomination. So Councillor Rogan will be on the Disability Inclusion Access and Advisory Committee. Okay. We'll go to the Tourism Advisory Committee. This is the new committee that when we adopt this report, we'll be adopting that new committee. Consists of the Mayor and another councillor. Councillor Tom Peters. Councillor Rogan, we have to give you a bit of a rub down, I think, as we go along here. Yeah. So councillor Rogan, you've been nominated by councillor Peters. Do you accept the nomination? Thank you, councillor. Any other nominations, councillors? No? Oh, sorry.
Extra one.
Okay, so instead of 1, 2. Mr. Dodge, with a bit of meeting procedure, so we need a motion to do that?
Council's prerogative to have whoever they want.
What I'd ask for, councillor, I think with everything to be fair, that you'd move a motion along those lines instead of 1, that there be 2 councillors on there.
Okay, I'll just move the motion that we have 2 councillors on that committee,
Okay.
plus the mayor.
Okay. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Petrie, Michael Petrie, thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, so we'll go back to start. There's now 2 vacancies. Councillor Bob Rogan's accepted 1. Do we have another nomination? How long ago? Councillor Rogan.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to nominate Councillor Very to represent his part of the Shire.
Councillor Very, you've been nominated. Would you accept? Thank you. So the two nominations there are Councillor Rogan and Councillor Very. You going right now? Yep. Okay. Okay, councillors, on to your page 12 to do with, still there, and we work down, and correct me if I'm wrong. The next one would be the Murray-Darling Association. Yeah? Okay. So we've got the mayor and the deputy mayor plus 1 other councillor. Can I have a nomination there, please? Councillor Bronwyn Petrie.
I guess I would nominate it was a spare one, but Don's just been as deputy mayor. But to say he was deputy councillor because he was pretty experienced.
Yep. Thanks, Councillor Forbes. Yep. So Councillor Forbes has been nominated into vacant position on the Murray-Darling by Councillor Bronwyn Petrie. And
we need an alternate.
And Councillor Sawyer, just to clear, we don't need a seconder with these, it's just one nomination. No, it's all good, thank you.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor.
Yep.
Alan, you right with that? So we've got Mayor, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Forbes.
Yep,
Yes.
on the Murray-Darling Association. Okay,
On the Bruxton Way Joint Committee, I think we should have either an alternate or another councillor on that one. You're just the one on that one by yourself.
yes,
And because it's in their ward, I'd not like to nominate Bob, because he's got part of it, or one of the other ward councillors for that ward.
yeah, no, good suggestion, councillor, I'm happy for that. Just to share with the councillors, with those Bruxton Way committee, we do have those meetings at our Brock meetings, so that'll work. So it isn't, not suggesting anything, but Councillor Murray, you're part of a delegate on the Brock, so it'd probably be appropriate if you're the other councillor, and that's your area too, which the Brookston is into. But I won't nominate you from the chair, not because I don't want to. I'm only suggesting if someone could nominate Councillor Murray. Yeah. Councillor Michael Petrie, you've nominated Councillor Murray. Do you accept the nomination, councillor? Thank you. Thanks for the suggestion, Councillor Very. And how are we going? That's tidied him up, hasn't it?
No, the next one is that we're going to have to find someone else for the joint regional planning, because Greg's now the deputy mayor. And he was the
Ah,
A
okay.
bit tricky.
So you're aware of that, Councillor Sawyer? Yep. Okay. So with the joint regional planning panels, we have the mayor, the deputy mayor, and Councillor Sawyer was the alternate. So Councillor Sawyer now being the deputy mayor, we need an alternate. Can I have a nomination for that, please? The joint regional planning panels. It's not an onerous task, councillors.
Haven't been called yet in 18 months.
Councillor Bob Rogan.
Question first, Mr.
Yes,
Mayor.
councillor.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I just want to understand what that is. Is that when there's I guess, an application for development above a certain amount?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
exactly.
Thank you.
Just an example, like it could be for a big quarry somewhere. That's when they'll have those sort of meetings. Okay,
If someone wants to nominate me,
happy to. Councillor Tom Peters has nominated Councillor Rogan as the alternate. You accept the nomination, councillor? Thank you. Councillor Tom Peters, yes? Yeah, of course you can. Which one, councillor? You living it, councillor?
Well, you have, Tom.
Okay. Okay, councillors, as we move on, that's tidied all up. Be aware that we, in the officer's recommendation. So you've got 1, 2, then you go on the next page, we've got 2 and 3, adopt the committee's register. So that's what that'll be. The council endorsed the timetable for community engagement forums as follows. So that's in what we do. The dates are there and the times. Then over the page. So correct me if I'm wrong, that's tidied all that up. Is that right, Nolene? Okay.
The meeting schedule.
Okay. So all that's there. So I'll put the officer's recommendation. Councillors, all in favour? I'm sorry, Councillor Bromman. Yep. Oh, I'm going to say no, but I'll hand over to our CE, Councillor. Obviously, due to obvious reasons, they could change, but it's procedure that they go in there. So we've got a timetable. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for your question, Councillor. I'll go back to councillors, please. The recommendation's there now. Councillors, all in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Councillors, in your hard copy, we move on to page 15, item GAV 3/18, council meeting schedule for 2/18 and 2/19. Can I have a mover and a second to deal with these recommendations, please? Councillor Gary Very, thank you. Second to Councillor McNish, I thank you. And I'll hand over to our CE to present this report. Mr. Dodds.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, the report's quite self-explanatory, with the exception that the Mayor and Deputy Mayor and myself spoke yesterday afternoon about investigating alternative meeting times, and it's different to the officer's recommendation, and it'd be up to council whether they choose or not to choose to adjust through a resolution to adjust for the same. If council were to adjust it, it would be that a report come back to council with the alternatives, and because of the complexity of it and individual circumstances, that report would naturally arise out of a workshop or even more than one. Thank you.
Councillors, and what I see he's talking about, I'll hand over to you if you'd like to speak to it, Councillor Forbes, is to do with number 2. Maybe it'd be a good time, in utmost respect and totally up to the council, to see whether we look at evening meetings. That's what he's referring to. I will hand over to you to speak, Councillor. The microphone, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, this proposal is that we have a trial period of council meetings at 6:30 p.m. Some of the rationale behind is that having day meetings is that you restrict the people who are available to put their hand up to be a councillor. Now, I remember it was possibly my first notice of motion when I first joined the council that I did propose this then, and you might remember that, Mr. Mayor. So it went down, but I think we should give it another go. I think we're one of the few councils in New South Wales, not in Australia, where we have day meetings. So, but I'd like to propose that we have a trial period of 3 months, 6:30 PM, and, yeah, thank you.
But council, with, to help us as we go through, but for the staff to come back with a report, we look at all in a workshop before we make a decision on that. Yeah? No problem with that. Any other comments to that, councillors? It's not that we don't have to debate it now, but I commend Councillor Forbes on his being consistent, and I do support it. So everyone needs to know that. I have no issues with it all, and it's healthy for a council to look at it. And he's raised some very good points. It's something that a progressive council should always look at, but that's just where I'm at. Councillor Bronwyn.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if we do change it to an evening, that we'd have to start earlier than 6:30, because not just for councillors who might have to travel, and particularly we've had council meetings go for 4 or 5 hours.
Yep.
So you're looking at 11:30, midnight, and then they've got to travel. But also for our members of the public who want to come, they also, if they're coming from an outlying area, will have to travel amongst roofs and everything else. So if it's to help people who are working, you can always knock off work at 4 o'clock and start your council meeting at 4:30 or something like that, rather than 6:30. That gives you an extra thing, rather than...
No issues at all. Councillor raised some good points once again, but if we come back to the workshop and flush it out, which is fully support and commend our staff to be supportive of the workshops we have, because we do resolve a lot of things, and that shortens our meetings up, I think, in the timeframes. Not that we have to be like anyone else, but there's plenty of councils, bigger councils that don't take very long to have the meetings at all. But obviously they've worked through all their business papers before and sorted everything out, and then they just need to have their meeting to endorse stuff. So, and that's something probably we need to look at too. But we have refined our meetings big time from when I was first on council. So we have. Councillors, any more comment?
So can you just ask Councillor Forbes, is that what he wants?
Councillor Forbes, to do with on the board, council undertake a trial period of 3 months for council meetings at 6:30 PM following report to council. And do you want to mention a workshop in there? Yeah. The staff come back and we have a workshop just to do with this? Yeah? And I would ask for a seconder there, please. Thanks, Councillor Michael Petrie. Okay. So taking that as a motion, it's an add-on to the recommendation, councillors. It sort of covers number 2 at the moment. Any more comment before I go back to the move and a seconder? No? Councillor Forbes, did you want to speak? No. Any more? Councillor Michael Petrie? No. Okay. Okay, councillors, we'll move with the motion that Councillor Forbes has moved, second by Councillor Petrie. All in favour? Against? Want them noted, councillors, or just, that's good? Okay. Councillor Petrie, yes. Bronwyn Petrie?
Sorry, it says that we will, if we vote for it, we're saying we will undertake the trial period following a report to council, following recommendations for a workshop. Well, you might as well not have the workshop if you're agreeing to actually put it in place. Shouldn't it be that council investigate a trial period rather than undertake?
Yes, and that be brought to the workshop.
Yep.
Yep, that's what we're discussing. Thank you, Councillor Bronwyn. Yep. No, all good. Councillor Forbes, are you happy with the wording up there now before we vote on this? Council investigate a trial period for 3 months for council meetings at 6:30 PM following report to council following recommendations for workshop. Yep. Councillor Verry?
Should have the word 6:30 there, shouldn't we just have evening?
Fair enough. That'll marry in with what you said, Councillor Bronwyn, with the time frame. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If we change it now, we're preempting the
Yep.
Sorry, if we change the 6:30 that Don suggested, we're preempting the outcome of the workshop. So it's fine as is, because if we do go ahead following the investigation, we can see whether 6:30 suits or not. That's the point of doing the report to council and the workshop. So.
Okay. So Councillor Forbes been the move and Councillor Petrie been the second. Are you happy with the wording up there now? Okay. All in favour? Against? Carried. Councillors, now we'll put up the whole recommendation. Be aware that in there, councillor, which is great to see, we have had applications from Wallangarra Jennings for our outside meetings, our bush meetings, and one at Olivia, which would be great next year. So they're in there and be aware of that once we move our recommendation. Okay, I'll put up the recommendation now. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, apart from the back of that, it just goes through our committee register. I don't think we've got any more to discuss. Any more comments to do with that? All happy? Okay. I will close this extraordinary meeting, councillors. The meeting is ended in peace and harmony.